everybody, welcome back to my channel. Oh boy. She is back. The reading girl is back. And that means that get a snack, get a beverage, water. I don't have water right now, so please hydrate for me because, ooh, no. She's back to reading a lot of books again, which is huzzah, hooray for me. I love this energy. But we've also come to the point where my reading months feel like two separate months because I've read so much. So the first few things that I read at the beginning of April have almost entirely escaped my mind, and I did not take good notes this month, so bear with me. We're gonna try and figure this out together. So have your snack, let's get cozy, let's get comfy, and let's talk about the 20 books that I read in the month of April. That's right, 20 books. I am back. It feels crazy. It was a lot of like easier reads, a lot of novellas, a lot of graphic novels, just dipping my toe. I do have one of probably the most advantageous, is that a good word, for my reading month, which really slingshot me into what is becoming May. So let's talk about them. Let's start with the first thing I read, which was a novella. It was Victorian Psycho by Virginia Fieto. And this is a Victorian novella. It is horror, and it is just about this girl. My dog just freaked out because the mailman gave me a heart attack. Anywho, I was talking about Victorian Psycho is set following a new adult who, like most main characters, especially in a horror, is trying to escape something from her past, and we follow her as she becomes kind of like a nanny or governess. I don't remember the correct term for that time era, but she's basically watching over these kids, and she's being scrutinized a lot, and it's not the most memorable of stories. I remember in the moment I was enjoying it. Our main character, whose name has entirely escaped me, kind of feels a little, how you would say, I don't know if it's a sociopath or a psychopath that she would fall under. I don't really understand the distinctions too well. Definitely different thought process, different way of acting and thinking, and I thought that it was fine. I would rather read something like Guillotine by Delilah S. Dawson than Victorian Psycho for my own personal preference, but I was shocked by the twist a little bit. I wasn't really seeing it coming. It wasn't a story that I was like trying to think of what could this all mean type of thing, and I was pleasantly surprised by it. It wasn't like a crazy woohoo story. I did like it overall. It was a good listening experience. I think they got a great narrator for setting that tone, but overall it was like a 3.5 star for me. It was just fine. I'm happy that I had read it. I would not be opposed to reading it again, seeing as I read it at the beginning of the month, and like I said, everything that I read at the beginning of the month was still technically tax season, and I don't think I gave everything the right love and attention they deserved. So I do think that this is one I could listen to again and might have a greater appreciation for. The next thing that I read was At Dark, I Become Loathsome by Eric LaRocca, who is an author that I want to say that I like, and then every time I pick up one of their works, it is so hit or miss. For me, I read 2 this month, and one of them was way significantly better than the other. At Dark, I Become Loathsome is about, I don't know how to explain this one without spoiling anything. It's also a novella. It's pretty short. It is following a person who has lost their kid, so I will trigger warning for like child death and grief, and I so desperately want to step away from grief horror, and I keep somehow ending up listening and picking up grief horror, which is my bad. But this is following a person going through grief and distress and connects with somebody, I think through like an online chat room, and then like things divulge from there. But they also have like this weird job where like they get paid to help other people experience like a near-death anxiety level, to like help their endorphins or whatever. It's a weird one, alright? It's a weird one. And I don't know really how to talk about it. There is a twist, and it's gross. It's a gross book. Eric LaRocca writes some disturbing stuff, and it does exactly what it is set out to do. Like, it unsettles you. It's not like a pleasant read. And so for all those reasons, like, it is accurate. Like, I think you could maybe consider this one a little bit more splatterpunky. And for that reason, it's like, for the element of what it did, which was disturb you and unsettle you and make you feel disgusted, it nailed it. But also, like, that makes for a bad experience. And so, like, enjoyment-wise, I'm like, well, it's like a 2-star, but, like, craft-wise and what the story was and the twist and everything it was telling was, like, almost a 4-star. So, like, I don't know how to rate this. I didn't actually rate it at all on Goodreads because I was simply just like, what did I just put my ears through? This was crazy. So yeah, At Dark I Become Loathsome. I would love for anybody who has read this to talk to me about it, because I truly, like, I don't know how I feel. I don't know how to feel. And I read this like a whole month ago now, and I'm just like, still, this is like one of the books that I read like the most Goodreads reviews for, being like, all right, everybody give me the tea. Tell me what you think. I'm thoughtless. The next book, so close to being a 5-star. I really wanted to give Enchantra 5 stars. This is by Kaylee Smith, who wrote Phantasma. This is the sequel following the sister Guinevere. We follow the sister, and this is, I think, an interesting premise. Very quickly jump into the story. There's not a lot of like get to know this character, because we kind of already have an idea of her personality. So we get to this manor, this haunted house that she was kind of invited. Her mom died, and that has been really hard, but her mom received this invitation, and she's like, nay, I will go in her stead. And it turns out to not exactly be what it seemed, but there is... Blackwell was from Phantasma. His name is Rowan. So basically, she follows this invitation. She decides to partake in these games. Now, Phantasma, I would say, had a competition, whereas this feels more like trials. Like, it is still a game, it is still deadly, but we're following a bunch of demon and demonettes, princess and princes of, I believe, the Nine Hells, and their father, who was like the king demon, and they partake every few years or something. They partake in these games to try and get their freedom. And she has somehow ended up in a fake dating, arranged marriage of convenience type situation with one of the men. And they have really good banter that had me kicking my feet. I was having such a delightful time. I really enjoyed these two together. The chemistry really worked for me. The rest of the story, it was really hard not to compare to Phantasma, which I had such an incredible time. I listened to the audiobook arc that I got on NetGalley for this, so I wasn't physically reading along. And maybe that's why some of the world building felt a little bit lackluster, but just like the atmosphere of Phantasma was spectacular for me, where this felt like a lot more of a personal journey for our character, and you get a lot of the side characters, which I think really made this book. I think that the siblings that were around were wonderful. I'm very excited for what is to come. Yeah, overall, like, I had a really good experience with this. I really liked the trials. I thought that they were fascinating, and I really liked the atmosphere that we got, but this atmosphere will not match the New Orleans haunted house that is Danny Phantomified, and just like House of Leaves-esque, where like rooms are changing and shifting and doors appear out of nowhere and you wake in different rooms. Like, that atmosphere was so delightful for me, and this just kind of lacked some of that charm. So it wasn't quite a full 5 stars, but I still really enjoyed it, and I will potentially reread these books because I did really enjoy it. And it definitely helped me get out of my little reading rut. Like, it definitely made me excited about reading. I binged this pretty quick, and I was just like wanting to pick it back up. I'm having a big issue with my reading of just like starting something and then being like, if I never touch this again, like, I would be content, even though I'm enjoying it. It's fine. We're not in a reading slump. I refuse to accept that. Okay, moving on. I listened to The Legend of the White Snake. This is by Shirley. I don't know about this one. It's definitely YA, and it feels like a younger YA reader could read this, but there's also like a bit of like a romantic-y feel to it. It is a little bit more promiscuous than I would have liked for what felt like young teenage boys, but this is a gay romance between a prince. The prince is on the hunt for the white snake, which will help heal his ailing mother, who might die at any point. And so he really needs to find this white snake, and once he gets to this town, he finds the stable boy and decides that that's going to be his partner in crime, and like they're going to travel together as like companions, and they kind of fall in a little bit of love. They kind of get feels for each other and very invested in each other's lives. But our pretend stable boy and pretend brother of this girl is harboring quite the secret, and I don't know if it's in the synopsis. I feel like once you know how the story is going to go. Like, it's pretty cut and dry. Like, nothing is there to surprise you. I think that it was handled well. I think it was very nice and sweet, but I also felt a little bit annoyed by the characters at times and some of their decision making, and I'm just like, why do we put ourselves in positions that we know are going to end poorly, you know? But I think overall it was a fine story. It's not one that I'm going to remember for long term, but I'm glad that I at least tried it. I would say it was like just a perfect mid 3-star book. That it's like, it was a fine time in the moment, and I don't have to really reflect on it later down the road. Oh, the next Eric LaRocca that I read. Finally, I know, I'm so late to the party, but I finally read Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke, which is a little novella told entirely in emails between this girl, Agatha, and the other one, whose name I completely have forgotten. This is, oh, it's so disturbing, but in like such a subtle way. It really is just about obsession and what you will do when you think you're in love with somebody. And it goes to absolutely disturbing points. I had to skim a few scenes. I don't like bug scenes for the most part. They do properly eerily creep me out. And I think that's good on the book. But I also hated every second of it. It ends in a classic way. It just like, it screams mental health so much. But it also screams like middle school. And I know these characters are significantly older, but they really did feel like teenagers. Like they felt like how I would sometimes act in middle school. Like I was so angsty and I was just like, everything, the world revolves around me. This relationship is all that matters in my life. Toxic and just bad overall. But I did really enjoy it. It eerily creeped me out. It wasn't scary, and it was pretty clear like the direction the story was headed, but everybody's talked about this for so long now that I'm happy I finally got around to it, and that like I'm in the know. I understand what things mean now. I read a good amount of graphic novels, so that's what these next 4 reads are going to be. So the first one that I read was Big Panda and Tiny Dragon by James Newbury. This is an episodic type story of just a big panda and a tiny little Mushu dragon, and they go on little journeys through the seasons, and they talk philosophy, and like some of them will really resonate you with words. Hello. Some of the pages will really resonate you with the good lord. Some of the pages at times are going to resonate you with. Some pages will resonate you. Oh my god. Some pages are going to resonate with you more than the other pages. Why was that so hard for me to say? It's just one of those things where it's kind of like a self-help book. Like sometimes it hits and sometimes it won't. There were definitely some pages where I was like, yeah, that's a nice reminder. It feels good to like have like this calm present, but also this sweet story of best friendship. And I really did overall enjoy it. It's not like something that I feel is rate worthy. Like it was good. I think the art was beautiful. I'm happy that we have it in color. This was a book, I should have grabbed it, but Austin had picked it up when we were in Boise, Idaho, and we met up with Chloe. Chloe took us to one of the bookstores that we were near, and yeah, so we picked it up from that trip, and I think that was really special and cool. So I finally gave that a little read. Did not take long. The next one that I read was a Leandra recommendation, and this truly has changed my entire world. I need to buy the rest in the series. There's 4 in total. This is The Cat on the Hero's Lap by Kosuke, I think that's an I, so Ijiyama. I'm dyslexic, so L's and I's that are capital are really confusing because I don't draw the little tails on my L's. Anywho, you didn't need that information. This is a delightful little manga. Oh my god, this was so precious. This is following a local folk town hero and his companions, his adventuring party, if you will, very D&D, the mage and the, like, strong barbarian fighter type characters. I love them so much. So, his adventuring party keeps leveling up and getting new weapons, and they're, like, super cool, super stacked, but our little hero is still a level 1. And every time they think that there's this big battle coming up, and they're completing a quest, and they're doing something well, they perish due to this cat always ending up in his lap. Always. Without a doubt, it happens. And you know the rule. As somebody with a cat in her lap right now, you can't get up when a cat decides to lay on you. They made their bed, you lay in it. You're stuck. It was so cute. It was so sweet. I genuinely laughed out loud. Like I was chuckling to myself throughout this entire experience. It was so incredibly delightful. I will be buying the next 3 so soon. I truly, what a magical experience. Thank you, Leandra, for shouting this out and introducing this to my life. So good. Okay, the next one that I read was Saga, Volume 1. This is a very popular graphic novel series, which I'm hesitant to talk about because I didn't love it. Will I continue in the series? Probably, just because so many people like it that I'm like, sure, I'll give it a try. Why not? I didn't love it. It's following a couple who's on 2 different sides of a war that come together, find love, have a kid. Ew. And basically the kid is like reflecting on their life story, and they're like, so this is what happened, like this is how my parents met, and this is what happened, and there's intergalactic, it's very sci-fi, they're all in space. You've got TV heads and princes, and you've got a lot of mercenary assassins. There's just like a lot that was going on. There's like one plot line following one of the assassins who's like heartbroken, but also like goes to a brothel planet of sorts where just like anything goes, and sees this kid and suddenly is like, oh, I have morals now and I'm gonna claim this kid, which is like good, but like at the same time still just like weird to have in your book. I don't know, and it just doesn't end well, it doesn't go well. Are you leaving me? There's that plot line, and then there's like the television head guy who's like engaged and he's planning to marry his wife, but is sent on this task instead by his father and is like, you have to do this and you can't return until you do it. And basically they're all hunting down this couple who's recently had a kid, and they're trying to keep their baby safe. And that is basically the entire first novel. It is, I think, just a lot of setup, and I think they're just like getting you to where you need to be. There's a ghost girl, like there's just like a lot happening in a pretty compact period of time, and it wasn't the most interesting to me, but I'm hoping if I continue on, it'll get better, because so many people absolutely love and adore the series. So I'm hoping that it's just like the first book is setting it up and it'll get better from here. That's my hope, at least. And then the next one is probably the best book maybe I've read this month, and this is, I swear to God, I hope that I'm saying this right, but Persepolis. This is A Story of a Childhood by Marjane Satrapi. And this is a nonfiction memoir of our author's experience living in Iran during the war, during the Islamic Revolution. And it's all black and white imagery of just the experience that she has had. And I think this is a very important read. The second volume is my cart right now. I will be getting it this month, hopefully, and reading it. It's heavy, but it's also really important, and I think prevalent to a lot of world conflicts happening right now, and I think that it educated me way more on the Iran war than I had ever thought. I just simply did not know a lot. So this was very educational, but also like heartbreaking and sad, but also like has moments of hope and just sweet. Like this kid going through such an experience that they don't really understand, but still understand enough, like the gravity to it all, but is still also like playing pretend, and some of it is dark, and seeing how different parts of war can impact different people and different families. Like there are bombings that happen nearby, and like their family has been pretty firm in wanting to stay in their home, in their town, and not move away, but they see a lot of their friends and family move away. And like the book ends when she gets sent away for school, and I think that the second book might absolutely destroy and break my heart. I know that like this was first published in French, and they I think still live in France, if I'm not mistaken. That's a big part of their identity, is like being a French Iranian illustrator, I believe, is like their main thing, which is really cool. So anyways, I don't think I really said a lot about this, but I don't think I need to. I think that everybody should just pick this up. Unfortunately, like it's not available as an ebook, so it's really hard to find like on Libby and such, but go check it out from your libraries, pick it up if you can. It's not a very expensive memoir, so I do just incredibly recommend everybody read this, especially right now if you haven't already. It's just really good. Heavy, but good, okay? Okay. I listened to A Natural History of Dragons. So Aurelium happened in April, and one of the buddy picks for my guild, which is the Order of the Crescent, was A Natural History of Dragons. Fans of cozy, fans of Emily Wilde, buckle in. This is the book for you. This is not a new book by any means, so you've probably heard of it. You've probably already picked it up if you're at all in touch with the like cozy side of things or the Emily Wilde side of books. But this is like, the study of dragons. A woman who is married and goes on this adventure with her husband and a group of people to find and study dragons. That's the gist of it. There's not a lot that happens. I will say I did not care for most of the book, but there is a lot that happens at the end that I wasn't expecting to happen. I thought it was like, wow. The author certainly went places that I was not prepared for, and I did appreciate that a little bit. But overall, these aren't the books for me. I don't like a cozier type of story. I don't like they're fine. I don't think they're bad. I think they're well written. I think that they're told in an interesting way. I just don't really find myself caring or connecting to any of the characters. So I read it. It was fine. I'm happy to move on. I don't think I'll be continuing in the series. The next couple of things that I read were featured in my King Mala reading vlog, so if you haven't seen that, please check it out. I know vlogs don't typically perform well on YouTube, but I had a lot of fun with that one. King Mala is one of my favorite musical artists, and I had her songs dictate my reading, and I really enjoyed them. And also, shout out, sidebar, her new album is really good, and I'm having a really good time with it. I still like some of her older stuff more, but it's going to take me a little while to like learn all the lyrics and get used to all of the new music. But if you like Billie Eilish, I think this new album especially is like a good pairing for Billie Eilish fans. Anyway, moving on. Goddess of Filth by V. Castro. This is a short novella horror all about a group of teens similar to the movie The Craft, and they do this seance ritual, but it seems to have gone either horribly wrong or horribly right, and one of their friends, Fernanda, is acting different. She's wearing black makeup now, she's sneaking out, she's just doing things that she did not typically do before. And in this very small Mexican Catholic town in Texas, the priest is trying to figure out how to do exorcisms, and the mom is like freaking out and having a bad time, but Fernanda's just kind of living her life and feeling the most in tune with herself and exploring her relationship with her new boyfriend and just trying to live. But also the friends are noticing that she's different and they want to figure out why and what's going on. This is a very slow story, and I complain all about it in my vlog and all of the things that like really I had issues with, mostly being the pacing and the dialogue, because it felt very much like V. Castro had an outline and was like, I need to hit these scenes at these moments, and was just trying to get to the next spot to continue the story, and it just didn't feel supernatural. I think the ending was exciting. There was a lot of action towards the end. It's pretty slow up until that point, but a lot happens that was very Jennifer's Body, if you will. Like, I think that those are very good comparisons to what the story was, is Jennifer's Body. So if you enjoyed that, you might enjoy this. It's definitely shorter. And overall, I had a pretty alright time with it. The next book that I read was The Inheritance, which is the worst book you could name, worst title you could give your book. I'm sorry, babes, change your book title. It's probably too late because it's been fully published, but The Inheritance is the most generic name and nearly impossible to find on Storygraph, Goodreads, any of it. You just type in The Inheritance, you're gonna get a bajillion books before you even get close to her. You have to put her name in. It is a silly thing. I understand that not every publisher is really thinking about like the shirt optics of their book, but they should be. That should be the first thing you think about, is like, how common of a word is this? How often will this book come up in searches first? That's so silly, but it really, really bothered me every time I was trying to find the cover. This is following a Indian family who are having a little family reunion on the island that one of the sisters owns. They're bringing their partners, and there's just a lot of family drama. I would say that this is less of a mystery thriller and more of a family drama. So if you're going into it anticipating that, I think you'll enjoy it more. If you're going in expecting like this elaborate murder mystery, it's not that. I think that there was a fun like psych out during it that I did kind of enjoy, but like because it wasn't what you thought it was going to be, like it was a nice red herring, you were kind of just like, cool, but like still nothing is happening. Like nothing happens until the end, and it really is just a story about like what family will do for each other and what it means to be in this type of cultural family. I can't say that this is how my family would be, but I also can't speak to rich people, so who knows? Rich people are a different type of breed that I am just fascinated by sometimes. Overall, I did actually like this more than I thought I was going to. I don't think a lot of people enjoyed it just because expectations did not meet reality, but overall, I didn't mind the family drama. It was a very easy read. Like, I kind of flew through it. Like, I wasn't really having to think a whole lot. It was just like, oh, messy. These people are just so all over the place. Like, they are just, oh my goodness. And overall, I did, enjoy it. I did have fun with it. I would say it's probably like a 3.5 stars. I'm definitely interested in seeing like more from this author. So yeah, The Inheritance, overall a good story if you are expected for family drama. And the next thing that I listened to was Daisy Hates by Jessa Hastings. We already know. Everybody knows. I will apologize that in my vlog, my audio was so bad in so many clips. Like, it was the first vlog I've done in all year, basically. Girl, I don't know where my skills had gone, but I had just botched the audio. And I tried to fix it so bad in post. So I ranted and mostly raved about Daisy Hates for a very long time with questionable audio, but if you stuck through it, thank you. I'm sorry. But overall, I really enjoyed Daisy Hates. This is following not as close of a best friend as I thought to Magnolia Parks, but this is the second book in the universe. They're kind of overlapping time-wise, and we're following Daisy. We're following her brother Julian, who's kind of like a mafia arms dealer bad boy, who's kind of got a thing with Magnolia, but who's obviously endgame with BJ. And then you've got Christian, who is BJ's best friend and in love with Magnolia, but also has like an on and off like flirtation hookup, friends with benefits situation with Daisy, trying to like get over Magnolia. But like Daisy's kind of like, I don't know, this guy's kind of cute though. Like, he kind of gets me though. But she also has this other thing with this guy, Romeo, whose name I always forget. And they kind of have like a childhood friends, lovers type of situation where like they're kind of just twin sparks in a way. Like, they keep just finding each other in life. And this one had a lot more action because you have Julian, who's kind of like, you know, this bad boy. And then there's like this cop character. Like, there's truly like, if you sit down with anybody who reads these books, it is just like, hey, let's gossip about some rich people as if we were watching Gossip Girl. Like, let me recap the entire, like, sticky situation of, like, all these characters and how they interact. And, like, it's crazy. It makes me feel giddy talking about, though. I'm like, okay, so Magnolia is dating BJ, but Christian is BJ's best friend. Like, it's just, it's so silly to explain, but I have such a good time with it. It just gives good feels. It just, you know, my problems feel so small in comparison to what they're going through, and overall, they're easy listens, they're fun, they're just rich socialites whose lives are interesting, and the relationship dynamics between all of these different characters are so different from one another that it's like fascinating to see how they interact. It's just, I don't know. Something about these books works for me. They're not 5-star favorite books. Like, they're all around 4-star. Like, they are entertaining and they are fun, but they're not like, I love this series, I'm gonna cry over them type books, you know? The next thing I read was Black Sheep by Rachel Harrison, my first Rachel Harrison, even. This was an aardvark pick, so it was nice to finally read some things on my shelves. I really like this. I think the first half was a lot stronger. In this, we are following Vesper, who has lived outside of her family's religious community for the last 6 years. She turned 18, she got out of there, and had no desire to turn back until suddenly she gets an invitation to a wedding saying, hey, your cousin is getting married to your ex-boyfriend. You should come. The family misses you. We'd all like to see you. And she's like, you know what? My life kind of sucks. I'm working at this deadbeat job that I just got fired from at this restaurant, and I have one kind of friend. So sure, I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna show up, and everyone is surprised to see her. And my biggest issue with this is, like, it's already a short book, so having the wedding scene happen so soon in the book and, like, still having the rest to go, I was like, but the wedding is what I was wanting out of this. Like, that's what I was, like, leading up to. So I wish we saw more of the community and their religion and their rituals and beliefs and just, like, explored that a little bit more. You get the first reveal, like, 50-ish pages in, and I thought that was a fun twist, a fun little take on the story, because I don't think it's really said. But I was pleasantly surprised by that. This has obviously like a lot of commentary on religious communities and cult-like behavior and just the extremists people can sometimes fall themselves in. Unfortunately, like, once we got to the halfway mark and the tone kind of shifted and we were going in a different direction plot-wise, I kind of lost steam. It was very quick and easy read, like, it didn't take me long at all, but I was definitely like, meh, about the second half, unfortunately. So I think this lands, by enjoyment of, like, when I finished the book, it was like a 4.5, but since sitting on it and thinking about it more and just feeling a little bit let down by the second half, it definitely feels more like a 4 to me. But I did overall enjoy my time. I will definitely pick up more from this author, but it'll be interesting to see, like, which ones I gravitate towards. Like, Cackle I have no interest in whatsoever, but, like, So Thirsty might be more similar to this and up my alley. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see, but I'm happy that I finally read some Rachel Harrison, and I'm excited to continue. Okay, the next book I have already passed off to my mom, and I will probably never have in my possession again, but I read Verity by Colleen Hoover. I know. I've lost my coho virginity, and it sucks. I do have some regrets. It needed to happen, though. If you're curious and you want full thoughts, down in the description, I will have the discussion for both this book and the next. Aaliyah, Richie, and I discussed on the Library Dwellers channel all about Verity and all about Mating with the Mantis. And it was a great time. I'm so happy to have read it with them, and it was just a very fun experience. I love getting together for book clubs with them because we have very good discussions. And Verity is one of those books where I would say it's not our strongest discussion because there's not a lot going on, but if you're unfamiliar, Verity is one of the most popular romance thriller books, I think, of our time, and it is following a young Lowen. I guess she's not young. She acts very young and feels very young, but I think she's 32 because I had to look up the ages because I was like, if this is a grown-ass man with a child, I'm going to be uncomfortable, but it wasn't quite that. But anyway, we follow Lowen, who meets this guy. They have the craziest meet cute you could ever find in a romance book. It is absolutely wild that is how the book started, and I'm not going to tell you. You have to go watch somebody else's video for that or read the book yourself. Absolutely crazy way to meet your love interest. Anyway, basically, she is a writer, and she has been chosen to work with this woman, Verity, who is paralyzed and got in a really bad car accident and is unable to finish her thriller series. I think they're mysteries. And basically, that's her job. So she's going to move to her Verity's house for a little bit with her smoking hot husband, Jeremy, and read her notes. But upon stumbling into her notes, she finds a manuscript written by Verity. But it feels a little too real. And it's just a wild book. I understand why some people really like this. I can understand, like, it's easy to read, it doesn't use a lot of brain cells at all, like, it's entertaining, there's some twists and turns, there's things to think about afterwards, like, there's a lot going on there. And I understand somebody like my mom will absolutely eat it up and probably love it. Someone like me, who reads a lot of horror, a lot of thriller, a lot of romance, it's not what I was looking for or wanting in any way, shape, or form. Like, it was simply just like, okay. So it's like a 2-star. I don't think it was well written. I don't think it was that surprising or interesting, but I am also coming from, I've watched deep dive, hour-long videos explaining the entire plot multiple times. So, like, I already knew everything that was kind of going to happen. So, with that said, I read Verity, and I also read Mating with the Mantis, which is the funniest 24 pages I have read in my entire life. I had such a good time. This is simply just a doctor who has dedicated her life to studying praying mantis, and it's all that matters to her because she just finds them so damn sexy. It's so comical. It's disturbing at times, but it's also so funny. The way that it ends is not at all what I was expecting or thought would happen, and I was pleasantly surprised and disturbed all at the same time, and I'm really happy that I finally read it. This was highly recommended by the Monster Smut girlies, and so they've got good taste at least, right? Okay, moving on. Back to my King Mala video, I read Martyr, and I'm not going to really discuss a lot about it because I already talked at ends about this book, and I just don't feel equipped for the conversation really, but I think this is a well-written book. I think it's great that a poet was able to sit down and just, like, write a book. Like, that's magnificent. I wish I could just do that. But this is a very good, strong debut. I think that it is an overall good story. It's just not what I was in the mood for. I was not really wanting something heavy and literary. I'm really just I just want to read romantasy, I'm gonna be honest. And so having to sit through this guy, his name's not Casey, but Cyrus, this guy Cyrus, sitting through him just being obsessed with martyrs and wanting to become one so bad and have his death mean something because he knows grief and loss so much, and having these discussions with this woman who's dying of cancer and she's an exhibit at a museum to, like, talk to people. I think the premise is interesting. The conversations on addiction and having, like, this dream-like sequence sometimes, just not knowing what was real, I think was the most interesting part. The way that this book ended really had me, like, spiraling. Like, I went down so many Reddit forums being like, somebody, like, tell me what you think of this ending. Like, there's so many ways you can interpret it, so I thought that was really cool. But overall, wasn't what I was wanting or looking for, but it was fine. The next book I read was kind of in the same vein. It's literary and just not what I was wanting. It's dystopian. I listened to Ripe by Sarah Rose Etter, and it was simply fine. I think going to my 9-to-5 job and listening to a girl going to her 9 to 5 job where she is bending over backwards and being completely slapped in the face and just unappreciated by corporate America, but still like doing the most. And the second there's like an ounce of praise, you're like clinging on to it for dear life. And it was a lot of relatability, but also just like it also touches on addiction. So if you're sensitive about like people doing a ridiculous amount of coke, be wary of that. But overall, like, it was just fine. There was no bigger picture meaning to me. It just was like, yeah, capitalism bad. I know. It's not the book for now. I don't think it's a bad book. I think it was just like, I shouldn't have picked it up at this time. But it worked for an Aurelian prop of having fruit on the cover. There we go. And the second to last book, I read Morning Star by Pierce Brown. This is the third book, and I would say the conclusion to the first arc in the Red Rising saga. What a story. This is a lot of war, a lot of action, a lot of politics, and how do you even explain such a book? I obviously have been reading these, and we're a little bit behind schedule. We are now moving on to Iron Gold, which is like the first book, I guess, in like the new arc, if you will. I think that this concluded very well. I think that it was well thought out. I think that it had a very big impact emotionally. I cried. There was a moment I sobbed. If you saw my Instagram post, I did cry a lot. I think this was a very well done book. I really enjoyed it. She's chunky. It felt like an accomplishment to finish, especially on time. My goodness, I gotta stop reading things late. But overall, I'm really enjoying the series. Of course, I'm not really that surprised anymore. Like, I love the first book. I love the second book. It makes sense that I'm gonna continue enjoying them. But I'm really happy the way that this worked out. There's like one part of it that I'm like, how dare you? But besides that, I think everything happened exactly how it should have, and for that I am thankful for Pierce Brown. He knew what he was doing. I'm very excited to continue on. I'm very excited to see where everything goes, especially now in the future that so much has changed. I'm very intrigued to see where we go. This was 5 stars. I loved it. So thankful, so happy. And the last thing that I read will be very quick. It was A Quick and Easy Guide to Queer and Trans Identity by Maddie G. And she is an illustrator, and her son is trans. So she kind of just wrote this very cute guide for anyone who maybe has a hard time understanding what different queer identities mean. And I think it's very sweet because it's very colorful, but has a very soothing palette at the same time, and is told by a snail. And I thought that was very charming. I wouldn't say that this taught me anything. I think this is definitely geared towards younger readers. I don't know if it's something that like I could give my mom and help her understand what some of these terms mean, but at the same time, there's like towards the end of the book, like red flags to look for in a relationship to like know you're not being abused. And it's like, maybe some adults probably do need to hear that again, but I think like I'm just a little bit more advanced in my knowledge, which sounds so pretentious and stupid every time I have to say it when I read nonfiction, but I do understand queerness a little bit, being a part of the community myself. Like, yeah, I know what trans means, and I know what, like, non-binary, asexuality, like, I understand all these things, but I do think this is a very good introduction. I think that it is quick, it's to the point, it gives you a very, like, here's what different things mean, here's how to be a little bit more open, accepting to things, and not, like, yeah, I overall really enjoyed this. I think that this is a very good resource for people, especially because it's in a graphic novel form, so I think it's an easier approach, especially for younger readers who don't really like reading but love graphic novels and are wanting to become readers. I think this is a very good entry point of like nonfiction and learning about queerness and just like all the good stuff. Those were all of the 20 books that I read in April. Oh boy howdy, I'm trying to keep my yapping down to a minimum for this video, so it wasn't too terribly long, but I overall had a pretty successful month. I wouldn't say it was bad. I think I'm still at a 3.5 average rating. I just can't escape it. I just can't get out of a 3.5 average rating. It sucks, but here we are. I hope to be reading a lot of 5 stars in May. I'm really wanting some like solid wins. I'm just excited to be reading though again, and to be reading so much. If you aren't aware, it's not too late. You can join and escape the readathon, and I'm a game master and I'm reading a lot, so I'm sorry to everybody that I'm reading against. I can't help it though. This is who I am. I think May and June I'm gonna go really hard, and then I'm gonna plateau again like July and take it easy. But I'm so excited about so many different books, especially romantasy. The Wind Weaver has gotten really good praise. Silver Elite has gotten fantastic praise. I'm so excited to get my book of the month. So many things that I just really want to read. So there's a lot of hope on the horizon. 5 stars are going to happen for all of us. It's going to be great. But I will see you guys in my next video. I'm going to go. I will see you guys around. Have a nice day. Enjoy your book. Goodbye.